Hi everyone, and welcome to video number 22 on King Henry VIII and his chief ministers. And this video, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting the third and the final section of the course. The Reformation and its impact on English Church, 1529 to 1540. The Reformation. Well, what's that all about? Now then, we are in today's world, some people are very religious. Some people are quite religious. Some people are not very religious. Go back into Henry VIII's time, ladies and gentlemen. Religion was hugely important in the lives of nearly every single person. Religion mattered. A belief in God was very, very strong. The church was important. That's the first thing to try and get into our heads. Now, when we say the church, of course, back then in Henry VIII's time, the 1500s, for centuries, people had meant the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, led by the Pope in Rome. But in the early 1500s, a group of people had begun to emerge. They are questioning. They are challenging the established Catholic Church. They are protesting against the Catholic Church. And because they were protesting, they gradually became known as the Protestants, the Protestants, as we call them today. And because they were protesting, they wanted things to improve or to change or to reform. They wanted to reform things, and that part of history is sometimes known as the Reformation. The Reformation, a time of change, particularly in religious matters. So we seem to have a bit of a split. On the one side, we have the old established Catholic Church. On the other side, we have the newer, challenging Protestant Church. Catholics versus Protestants. Now, what's the main beliefs? What are the main points? What are the main differences between the two churches? Well, here's just a couple for us. First one, in the Catholic Church, the Pope was head of the church. He had the authority. Protesting against that, the Protestant Church said, no, that's not correct. Individual kings should lead their own church in their own country. One key difference. In the Catholic Church, they believed in 7 key parts, 7 key beliefs, 7 key what they know as sacraments, holy bits of their religion, 7 sacraments. The Protestants are reforming that, they are protesting against that, and they say, no, there's just 3. Baptism, the Eucharist, and the penance. Now, in the Catholic Church, if you went to church and you went to a service called the Mass, in that particular service, there's a part of the service where the priest has the bread and wine, and the Catholics believed in something called transubstantiation. Don't worry about the technical word. All it means is that the Catholics believed the bread and wine actually became the body and blood of Jesus Christ. The Protestants, on the other hand, protested, said, no, no, no. The bread and wine is just a sign, a symbol of the body and blood of Jesus Christ. Another difference. Now, in the old traditional Catholic Church, many of the services in the actual church building were said in Latin. Now, here's a little bit of Latin for you. Credo in nonum Deo, Patrem omnipotentem. What does that mean? Do you know? What, you don't know Latin? Well, of course not. Most of us don't know Latin. Credo in nunum Deo, patrem omnipotentem. It's Latin. The Protestants are saying, no, we don't need to say our services in a language we don't understand. Let's translate it into the country where you are from so you can understand. I believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty. Credo in nunum Deo, patrem omnipotentem. I believe in one God, the Father Almighty. The Protestants are saying, let's use our own language. A difference, a change, a reformation. The Catholics had old traditional beliefs. They said, you can buy your way into heaven. You can use indulgences. You could basically bribe and say to the priest, look, I've paid money to the church so that when I die, I have a shorter time in something that they believed in called purgatory, like a waiting room before I'm allowed into heaven. The Protestants said, no, that's wrong. We are protesting. That's corrupt. Rich people can't jump the queue. The way to get into heaven is belief and faith. The Protestants were protesting. They wanted change. Now, if you walked into a Catholic church at this time, there would be crucifixes, images, paintings, statues, all in the church, and people would kneel and pray to them. The Protestants said, no, that's wrong. That's just superstition. We don't need them in church. All you need to do is pray to God. Can you see there's a difference there? There might be in the Catholic Church a statue in the corner. So you could say, statue in the corner. Terrible joke, I apologise. Now, final couple of differences between Catholic and Protestant. The Catholics believed you could go on a journey to a special holy place called a pilgrimage. And if you went there, it gained you favour with God and you'd be allowed into heaven as a sort of catch-up for any sins you committed. The Protestants say, no, that is not necessary. And the final difference that we're going to look at. In the Catholic Church, the priests wore special clothes called vestments, and they were always not married. The Protestants are saying, no, we protest against that. Priests can marry, and you just wear your ordinary clothes. So there's a big difference here between the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church. Now, how's that affecting Henry VIII? Well, I think it was 1495, a German monk called Martin Luther. He started to get annoyed about the Catholic Church and he protested. He wrote a list of all his complaints, his protests. There were 95 of them, and he wrote them in a big long list called the 95 Theses. And he banged them, he hammered them onto the door of a church in Germany where he was from. He started the idea of protesting. Martin Luther, joined by other people like John Calvin, they are protesting. They want reform. They are starting the Reformation. Now, obviously, the Pope will not be pleased. At first, King Henry VIII is completely on the Pope's side. He is a Catholic. He wrote a book in 1521. Basically, Henry VIII is attacking Martin Luther. How dare you attack the Pope? That's wrong. The Pope gave Henry a big reward. He gave him a special title, Fide Defensor. Latin again, notice. Fide Defensor, defender of the faith, defender of the Catholic religion. Henry was chuffed. He's got a great big award from the Pope. The Pope and Henry in the 1520s were friends. Now, we can still see that today. Have a look at some coins. There's a 10 pence. There's a 2 pence. If you look on the coin, on the head sign, you will see the letters FD, Fide Defensor. There's a 20p. And I'm feeling very rich. I've got a £2 coin. Have a look there on the coins. You'll see Fid Def. Fid Def. Fide Defensor. It's still on our coins today, all the way back to 1521. So Henry VIII is totally supporting the Pope. Until, can you remember? Something changes. Henry changes. He breaks away from the Pope in Rome. Can you remember why? Can you think of any reasons? Well, there were basically 4 reasons. The first one, have a look back at videos 10 and 11. The divorce, the annulments, Henry's desperate to end his marriage to Catherine of Aragon. The Pope, for a whole variety of reasons, will not allow it. Therefore, Henry wants to marry Anne Boleyn, divorce Catherine of Aragon, get a son, secure the succession. The Pope will stop him. Therefore, Henry decides to move away from the Pope. First reason. Second reason, there was an anti-Catholic feeling in England. People were complaining about the Catholic Church. Maybe it was corrupt. Maybe it wasn't giving a good moral or religious lead. Maybe the priests were of poor quality, not setting a good example. There was an anti-Catholic feeling, linked in with the divorce. 2 reasons. Third reason, money. Well, if Henry becomes the leader of the church, he can increase the control of money or wealth which otherwise may have gone to the Pope. The annates of Rome, money which was sent to the Pope, could now be sent to Henry. Not too much, but at least it was some money for Henry. Maybe he wants to move away from the Pope for money. The third reason. And the fourth, Protestant ideas were becoming more popular in parts of England, certainly supported by Anne Boleyn and Thomas Cromwell, and they had influence over Henry. Henry liked the idea of him maybe getting more power. So in a way, he's cherry-picking. He might not agree with all of the Protestant ideas, but anything that gives him more money or more power or allows him to have his divorce, he's going to be on side with that. So Henry begins to see that there are advantages in breaking and moving away from the Pope in Rome. Not surprisingly, Henry's chief minister, Thomas Cromwell, he's central to all of this. He's organising it all as England moves away from Rome. No, the Pope is not going to be our leader. Yes, Henry will be our leader. This was the English change to religion, the English reform, the English Reformation. Now, there were certain steps that they followed to set this up. First one, the softening up process, if you like. 1532, the submission of the clergy, the priests. They had to accept the king, not the Pope, as the lawmaker. First step. Second step, 1533, an Act of Parliament, stopping clergy appealing to the Pope to override the decisions of Henry. So they're the first couple. And then we get to the key year, ladies and gentlemen, 1534. 3 big things, 3 big acts of Parliament, 3 new laws. 1534 is the key year. 'Twas in the year 1534 that Henry's power grew some more. The Protestants began to hope that Henry would replace the Pope. Terrible poem, I apologise, but it gets the message across. What were these 3 new laws? First one, the Act of Succession. It said this, number 1, the marriage to Catherine of Aragon was invalid, not legal. Therefore, the heir, Mary, the daughter, she's not legal. They are changing the succession. Still in the same law, the marriage to Anne Boleyn is the true marriage. Blessed by God, that is the legal marriage. Therefore, any children, they will be the legal heir. Henry was hoping for sons, of course. Now the Pope say, no, no, no. But the English Church and Henry are rejecting the Pope. Now, if you didn't agree to the Act of Succession, that was treason and execution. That's the first law. Same year, 1534, the Act of Supremacy. In this law, the king, not the Pope, becomes supreme head of the Church of England. Henry now had powers to organise the church, decide the appointments of key bishops, key beliefs. He could control the church land, control the church income. Cromwell is a key figure in all of this, so much so that Henry rewards Cromwell and made him vice-regent, in other words, the king's deputy in all matters to do with the church. If you didn't agree with the Act of Supremacy and you didn't take the oath, treason, execution. The third, the final law in this important year, 1534. The Treason Act. Now, treason in centuries gone by used to be plotting, planning against the king, fighting the king, helping the king's enemies. It was the most serious of crimes. Treason against the king. But that wasn't enough for Cromwell. No, he wants to change the law. He wants to make it tougher. He wants to make it more severe. So for Cromwell, even just for talking or saying something or disagreeing, for example, I disagree with Henry's religious changes. Under this new Treason Act, that was treason. Execution. Cromwell is giving Henry more control over everything to do with religion. So, there we see Henry's breakaway from Rome, Henry's breakaway from the authority of the Pope. That is what occurred. We know why he did it, mainly the marriage, but there were other reasons which I've explained. And we know how he did it, the laws that I've just explained, particularly in the year 1534. So there we see. Now, let's just finish off. Surely no one, because of these new laws, treason, execution, surely no one is willing to go against Henry. No one is willing to go against Cromwell, because you're risking treason and you're risking death and by execution. No one is going to oppose them, are they? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at the next video. As ever, I hope it's been useful. All the best now. Speak to you soon. Bye now.